Welcome back to TYT Sports, everybody. Francis and Jason here. Stephen Curry is going to win his second straight MVP. If you don't believe that, just excuse yourself from the TV, from the room. If you're watching this on desktop, mobile, wherever, just turn it off. Your opinion is not valid. Steph Curry is the MVP this year. The question is, who is the NBA MVP runner-up? I think this is actually very easy. I think it's a runaway. According to Basketball Reference, they have it almost identically to how I have it, except for two guys swapping for, believe it or not, Kevin Durant. Steph Curry is going to win. A 67.3% probability is so underestimating it. It's a 98.9% probability. In my book, Russell Westbrook is second with 8.1%. Look at the numbers. The NBA MVP award has almost always been an offensive powerhouse award. And offensively, in the all-around game, 23.7 points, 10.4 assists, 7.8 rebounds. Now, I know the Kevin Durant fans out there are going to say, well, Durant's got 28.1. He's second in scoring, right behind James Harden for third in scoring in the league right now. He's also making 50% of his shots and shooting much better than Westbrook from three. While all that's true, if you've watched Russell Westbrook this season and seen that when he gets triple-doubles in the NBA, at least since January 1st, they are 13-0. He is a triple-double machine, which rounds out the stat sheet. I know it's not all about statistics, even though his three-point shot has basically failed him all year long. Russell Westbrook is undoubtedly the NBA runner-up MVP, and there's tiniest argument that he's the NBA MVP. Nothing against Kevin Durant, but it's true. He has surpassed Kevin Durant as a better-ish all-around player. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens when Durant, I think, leaves Oklahoma City at the end of the year, and see what happens when he goes to a different team, and there's more shots maybe for Durant to get created. Of course, the other names on that list, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. I have always called myself a LeBron apologist because even though LeBron's numbers aren't there and he's shooting 29% from the three-point line and God knows what from the field, his impact on the game, I understand it. Like, to me, he's always going to be a top 3 MVP candidate. Everything he does on the floor is polarizing. Its effect is tremendous. LeBron being on the floor is a game changer for any opposing coach. They just know he's there. He's going to see things that other coaches don't see. So LeBron's up there as well. I think Kevin Durant's right back to form, and he's great. Obviously should be in the contention. Kawhi Leonard always not getting enough, never getting enough recognition for what he did. But Francis, you've been watching all year long. It's Steph Curry and then who?
I think it does go both ways. The way OKC play favors Russell Westbrook a lot. I mean, he's very... Russell Westbrook's one of the most confident guys no matter what, giving him the ball at any point. He is willing to take a shot. They're willing to take the shot that could make or break his game, and that's something that in the past people had said had hindered him, but he's perfected parts of his game that allow him to be the most effective at driving to the rim, at taking his jump shot looks a lot better. I think that Russell Westbrook this season has surpassed a lot of expectations and has proven to be one of the main reasons why OKC are in the position that they're in and are still one of the most enjoyable teams to watch for me. I think that's enough of a contribution to be considered the runner-up. And you can play out your skin. You can play and be shooting above all your averages. But the man who's in front is just far superior than anyone else that's closer to him, not simply because of his statistics. Because I understand, right, we focus... And by the way, this is an American thing more than anything. And I understand.
Stats!
You love your stats, man, especially in basketball. He's average. He's average from the floor. He's average from distance, which is great. But you just mentioned it there as LeBron James. It's almost, you can't quantify the impact that LeBron James has on his team. I don't think you can quantify the impact that Draymond Green has on Golden State. I think that it's a very hard thing to measure how much better of a team they are. You mentioned it there. Their ability for Kerr to run a screen that will provide that space for Klay Thompson and Steph Curry to be able to shoot more efficiently. You can't just measure. You can measure it if you're a stat fiend. There's 4.9 screens per 30 seconds a game for them. But
it's funny because like they have all these statistics, but they don't have a flops per game statistic for all sports. And I think it's FPG is like the most needed stat in the history of sports.
The fall on the floor.
Well, that's my favorite award in the history. We haven't done it this year. We have to do it.
I think that sometimes you just have to look beyond stats. And with Steph Curry, although the stats are staggering, I still just, it's amazing how much the team clicks a little bit more. Obviously, everyone takes from that confidence. I love, by the way, a couple of weeks back, I don't know if we covered it, it's the confidence that he inspires in his team so that the players, they don't even pay attention at times. Remember when Klay Thompson celebrated when Steph Curry got the ball and then he threw it to, like, that's just, that, obviously it's laughable and it's funny and he should be focusing on the game, but that is the confidence that is just around every single player when Steph Curry plays. And I see that similar confidence when Russell Westbrook's on the floor for OKC. But as you mentioned there as well, Kevin Durant maybe in a different system that favors him in the fourth quarter, maybe more so over the likes of Russell Westbrook, and they can draw up plays that utilize his talents more effectively. We talked about him going to the Celtics. I would love to see if it was to work out. I mean, just from a neutral basketball fan, maybe next season we talk about Kevin Durant going back to that MVP spot, but it would take a lot to move Steph Curry if he continues to surpass it. But I like to look beyond stats, and I like to, from watching it so much
the
this
eye
year.
test, yeah,
Yeah, just to see how much players are influenced. LaMarcus Aldridge, what is that, 8th there on that list for the stats? But you look about how much better Spurs are with him this season, how much of a fantastic acquisition he was for Popovich's team. And I think that is something that you can't measure as much just in his stats, and they look like a well-rounded, better team. And he's a main reason, by the way, don't look beyond it, one of the main reasons with Tim Duncan's minutes a little bit more restricted this year. The Spurs are about to have, or have had, their best season ever in terms of their overall record.
Of course.
LaMarcus Aldridge is a big part of that.
Don't be surprised when Greg Popovich unleashes LaMarcus Aldridge on whoever is in his path, because we saw it with the Blazers. His minutes have not obviously been nearly as... He didn't have to play as many minutes playing for the Spurs as he had for the Blazers, which means he's going to be fresher for the Spurs in the playoffs. I'm predicting a 45-point game from LaMarcus Aldridge, and it's going to be very fun to watch. And I'm also predicting games where he scores 8 points and grabs 14 rebounds and plays defense and does exactly what Pop needs him to do to get the win, because that's how the Spurs work. But no MVP nod, but in the top 10 for consideration, sure, I threw it out there. Draymond Green, I think he's like the 9th or 10th best player in the NBA. I get into arguments all the time with people about that. But possibly the most improved player for this year, and possibly going to get the best defensive player of the year, if not for Kawhi Leonard being a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I know this is so random, Scottie Pippen on the saying that the 95-96 Bulls would sweep the Warriors. Scottie Pippen, you didn't sweep the Supersonics in 95-96 finals. And while Gary Payton and Sean Kemp are fantastic players, and Gary Payton would cause a lot of problems for the Warriors shooters, you cannot tell me that you would sweep this Warriors team when the reality is you'd probably beat them in 6.